The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shea's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shea's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shea's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shea's Paranormal Chat. It is March, not May. I wish it was May. It would be a lot warmer, but it is March 1st, 2019, and we have the awesome Dr. Gina with us. Hey, Dr. Gina, how the hell are you?
Hello, Shea. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited and looking forward to tonight and talking with you. So,
yeah,
here we are.
We've been planning this for a long time.
We have. I feel like I was telling you earlier, like, I remember we planned in like end of January, February. I was like, oh my God, I have to wait so long for that. But okay. And then the next thing you know, it's here. But yeah, it's spring. I'm waiting for May too. You said May. I'm like, oh God, please. We're both in cold climates over here on the East Coast. So
yes. I think I was hoping it was May. It is freezing out here. I don't know about there, but it's cold here.
No, New York. I'm in New York City, and it's freezing. You know, I grew up in Salem, New Hampshire. So
yes, I did. Yes. I remember you told me that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm from Haverhill, Mass. How weird.
Uh-huh. And I lived in Lawrence, Mass for a little while, and then we moved to Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, most people don't live in Lawrence too long.
No. It was like, I remember I loved my neighborhood, and I remember my grandma saying, we have to get out of here. And I'm like, oh, I love all my friends and everything. And then we moved on up to Salem, New Hampshire, and I was like so bored. I'm like, this stinks. I like Lawrence.
Yeah.
But we had trees, and it was a whole different world. And then I would come home to visit my family in Philadelphia a lot in summers and vacations, and like Salem, New Hampshire was so boring. I was just like, can we move to Philadelphia? Please, like, get me out of Salem. Like, it was nice. It was a good life in Salem, but it definitely wasn't Lawrence and it wasn't Philadelphia. So I wanted to be in one of the other places.
Yeah, once you get used to a big city, it's hard to go back until you get in trouble. Then it's like easy to move on. But I grew up bordering Haverhill, Massachusetts, and Hampstead, New Hampshire. I went back and forth, mostly in Haverhill with my mother, and then I spent a lot of time with my grandparents in Hampstead, New Hampshire, which was a private road, a private lake, But then in Haverhill, Mass, which is very close to Lawrence, Mass.
Yeah,
So
Hazel is where my father that I grew up with was from. So his family's from Hazel. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people, if they know Haverhill or know the area, and you're like, yeah, I'm from Haverhill, Mass, they like put their nose way up in the air, and it's like, well, hey, you know.
No, they know. It doesn't matter. Like, you can grow up in the worst place or the best place, and
Amen.
it doesn't make the person. I mean, for sure. Like, I definitely grew up in some ghetto areas, and then I went to Ivy League schools, and I went to the best schools, and I went to side by side with people that didn't even comprehend the lifestyle that I came from. No idea who I was. Yeah. And, you know, and my family was like, Gina can go with like the lowest or the highest of them, my uncle used to say, because I grew up with the lowest, but then I, thank God, was smart and wound up around, you know, some people that, like, I didn't even understand their lifestyle. They were just in college. Their parents were paying. I was working in a strip club to get myself through college, you know, every night trying to work and then go to college. And my friends, they were like my best friends, and we're still great friends today. My friends that I went to Thomas Jefferson with in Philadelphia. And we definitely, I was the odd one out. I came from such a different background, but they're still my amazing friends today. And it was just a great experience. And I learned a lot, a lot of different things.
I also think that puts you in a place where what I would consider the middle. So you're not below, you're not above, you're just who you are. You don't look down on people, but you don't like look up at people and like, I wish I was them.
No. And it's funny, like, definitely I saw this as I went out into the work field because, you know, I have a doctorate degree, so, and I'm white, and I worked in bad areas of the Bronx when I first came. And so people would test me a lot, you know. They had this image of who I was, you know. And when they push and test me, they start to see my ghetto and my hood come out. And they're just like, what? I was like, yeah, you know, don't let the image fool you. I might have a doctorate degree. I might look like this person, but you don't know somebody. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they came from. People judge just by seeing you. And even I remember probably I got my first tattoo when I was like 20 maybe. And I remember I got an Irish Celtic cross because my mom is half Italian, half Irish and German. My dad's all Italian. So for my grandmother, I wanted to get this Irish cross for her. And I remember her seeing it and freaking out. She was like, oh, wow, you look like white trash. You got the tattoo. It's so horrible. And I'm like, I got it for you. And she's like, oh, no, you're so low life. It's so horrible. You're going to be judged. And I thought, what am I don't care. I don't want to be judged. But there were people who judge. I have a lot more tattoos now, but there are people that judge because you have a tattoo or ink. It's not as bad now, but it definitely was like even 10 years ago. Like people judged you different, right? And
they did. Oh yeah,
so crazy. You know, it's just and all my tattoos have meaning, and there's a reason for it. So I want them all close to me for a certain reason. And to me, it's art. It's like what it represents. But you know, people have, again, it's just like they see you and they want to judge you for what it is that you present to or where you're at. And I'm on the Upper East Side now and in Manhattan, and it's definitely an area like that, very wealthy people. And I just like walk out of the house and I'm just like casual, and so, you know, New Yorkers, it's kind of the same thing. Like you could see a New Yorker and they could be like a billionaire, but they're just like, some of them are just casual. You can't really tell somebody for how they present themselves. And judgmental people, that's one of the worst things I can't stand, is a judgmental person. Like you don't even know the person, their story, who they are, what they're made up of. You know, you're just judging them for whatever. And even forgiveness. Like I can always see something why maybe somebody did that, or I look beyond exactly
Me
what
too.
happened.
I'm the same way.
It's important because if someone could do something to me, my friends will be like, oh, I never talk to them again, this, and this, and just say maybe they did it because, that's how they protected themselves, or they felt insecure about something, or what. There might be a reason for it, but if there's no reason, trust me, they become in a different category for me because I'm all about
me
loyalty.
too. I instantly get mad. My sister Nicole and I were talking about this today. I instantly get mad, but I don't say anything. I absorb it, and then I take it in and look at all the circumstances around it and everything I know, and then deal with it. And sometimes dealing with it is ignoring it. But I try to put myself in the place of that person if I have enough information. Sometimes people are just assholes and you have no idea, and those are the ones you block. Like, I don't know you. Goodbye.
That's true. And that's just like, I am, and I have very few friends, but the ones that I do have that are my true friends, then I'm so loyal to them. And if I watch, and I've had different friends, especially in the last 3.5, 4 years where I went through a lot of life changes, I've had friends that, like, they might not even do something to me, but they do something to someone that I know is their friend, and the whole thing changes for me.
It just reflects badly, and it shows their true self.
Yeah, like you did if someone doesn't like my friend, or someone did something wrong to my friend, I no longer like you, and I now have a problem with you. Because you did something to my friend. I'm not going to go have lunch with someone that my friend is having a problem with. That drives me crazy. And another thing, like if you're friends with someone and they tell you that someone else was talking about you and then they're hanging out with them, like, are you kidding? Like, stick up for me and never hang out with that person again. That's just how it goes. Either
stick up for me or don't tell me, one or the other. There's no winning if you do both.
Yeah, it makes that is completely, that has to be one of my worst things, judgmental people and unloyal, because I grew up very old school. My mother passed away when I was a couple months old, so I grew up with my uncles, and they were 20s, 30s, and they were a different breed. And
we're around the same age, I remember. Especially
so
the same area. I get you.
It's just different, different way just a whole different way of life to be brought up, for sure.
Yep.
But anyway, I could go off about this and people for a long time, because I've been like, even when I in high school, I've been through it, but I have to say the last 4 years is really when I started saying, nah, that's not worth it. That's not worth my energy. Nah, not this one.
It takes a lot to get there, though. But once you get there to the point where you're like, okay, this isn't worth it, it feels good. But it takes a lot to get there.
It does. It does. It does. It took me a long time to get there. Like, I had friends that I can't even, I look back and I was like, how did I even let them be my friend? I don't even know.
Amen, sister.
Right. Not that I was so great, because I do look back on some of my high school years.
But I've never hurt somebody intentionally. I've never used somebody. I've never misused their trust. I've done shitty things, but I've never purposely hurt somebody. Never.
No, I've never done that, but I definitely have to say that when I look back on my high school days, I wasn't always the best. I do have to say, there were different times that I have to say that I was that one sometimes. And it's just not even I don't even know how. I write it off to my childhood. I don't know. But I wasn't proud of a lot of moments, that's for sure. But that's
Dude, I had a baby in high school. So
oh my God. But you had some people, yeah. I can imagine.
That. And people look, at the time I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed, and But you know what? I'm not anymore because I'm proud. I'm proud of my son. My son's 24 years old, and I couldn't be more proud of who he is as a person, what he's achieving, and all my kids. I have 4 kids now, but he's my oldest.
It's definitely hard. That's a judge. People do judge. I remember we had maybe 1 girl, maybe 2 girls I know that were pregnant in high school. And actually, it's so funny because there were 2 girls. And one of those girls, one of the 2, which isn't many, is still like a good friend of mine today, like for sure. She was just an amazing person. It took a lot for her to go through that then.
Yeah.
And she's still one of my good friends. But if she's listening, she might be listening. She knows who she is. But yeah, so, it's just like, I guess now I have very low tolerance. And besides the fact that I've been psychic my whole life, so being in high school and just saying to even little kids, young, saying to my other friend, I don't like her. I don't like her. And my grandmother would always say that you were like, ew, I don't like, she's ugly. And you're like, well, they're ugly. And she'd be like, they're not ugly. But I'd be seeing past what they presented physically. I'm just like, I seen ugly because I saw their ugly
in them.
Yeah. And she used to say, I used to tell when I didn't like someone, I would use the word ugly and say they're ugly, she say. And she said, you didn't like a lot of people, even as a little kid. Like I was very shy, and I used to always get marked off in school, like that I had poor self-confidence. I was like shy because I just didn't want to talk to people. I could see them, even more so when I was younger, and I never really wanted to be around people, friends or kids, even young. And then as I got in high school, I talked to some of my friends now that I went to school with, even high school. And once I started doing this and they started finding out what I did, they would come to me or, message me on social media and say, I remember I knew something was different. You were always different. Like they started telling me things that like they would see. And it's funny when you hear something from another person's perspective. Like they'd be like, every time you had sleepovers, we would be playing like Bloody Mary, please appear in the mirror. And we'd have the Ouija board and light as a feather. And like, so like, you were like up, you always wanted to go up in your attic and like do these seances. Like, I was like 5 or 6 and they're like, we knew like it wasn't like the regular parties in the Tail and the Donkey and stuff. I'm like, yeah, no. No.
It has to be different.
Yeah. So that was like young. And then in high school, my friends would be like, we'd be at a party and you'd be like, we got to leave. Something's going to happen. And something like the cops will come. Like I don't even remember this. This is my friends telling me I remember this, or I would say something like, this person's talking about this person. And I would always know. And even my girlfriends who had boyfriends, I'd tell them, oh, he's done this and that. And all of a sudden, like, they weren't allowed to talk or hang out with me. And I thought I was just smart. Like, I thought, well, I just kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, like, I was psychic. I just thought, I just know that he's doing something. I don't know exactly. I just know. And then I had a friend, a good friend of mine in high school. He was older than me. I always had a lot of guy friends. Most of them were guys. I always had guy friends. And his mother did tarot cards, and I was probably in 9th or 10th grade. And I remember thinking this was so cool. Like, and I used to talk to her. She was just so cool, and she was definitely psychic, and she did the tarot cards. And I was already like fascinated by them. So then I wanted to do it, obviously, because she was doing it. And then I would start to do it. And I started doing it then, probably 9th or 10th grade, just for fun, like playing around, telling my friends this, and this. And then I started looking at pictures. They would show me pictures of like different guys usually. What do you think about this guy? And I because your friends, they show you pictures and they pull up your phone and you're like, look at this guy. And, you're checking their social media. And I'd be like, oh, and I tell them all kinds of things about this guy and everything. They'd be like, you're so right. So it's all my friends started being like, can you look at this guy for me? Can you look at this guy for me? And I'd be telling them, like, guys from, like, different cities, like, different states. Like, we didn't know them. You know, they're just guys that they liked on social media. And I'd be like, this, and this, and this, and this. And it was always true. And then I started having, like, all my friends wanted to know, what about this and that? And, yeah, when I was, like, little, as far as I can remember, 2.5, 3, I see dead people. You know, they would come to my bed, wake me up, and they'd be all over my room. But I always tell my grandma, was like, that's because your mother was killed when you were 2 months old. She thought that I was having, like, nightmares. You know, obviously that was traumatic, probably. So, but no, I used to say the monsters come and talk to me, because when you're little, to me, like, a lot, they would come to me like they died. So I would see people, like old people, or I would see people that, you know, had blood, like from car accidents. They would come to me just in the form where they passed. So it would be like a whole bunch of walking zombie monster dead people, a lot of them, when I would go to sleep. And where we lived in New Hampshire, out back, we had this lake that ran like behind my house. And then there was a whole bunch of trees. And there was a window that it would open, but it was above the bed. And I just remember, like, they would be out back. They would be coming in the window. They were everywhere. And it was, this stayed with me till I was like 4 or 5. And I used to have my uncles or my grandma, like, sleep with me. Not just sleep with me, but put their arms around me to protect me from all the monsters that I would see, because there was that many. And I physically seen them probably till we moved down to New Hampshire, probably like 6 or 7. And then they became like ghosts. 9, 10, teenage years, they would be to me ghosts. Like, they were energy. I would feel them. I would hear them. I would like see like them move, but I didn't see the physical image like I did when I was little. And then it was always ghosts. And I'd stay at my Aunt Sarah's, and I'm just like, I know Uncle Howard's here. Like, he's here, and he's everywhere. That was her husband. And I'd be at my Aunt Marie's, and I would see her husband. Like, I was seeing everybody's as ghosts, and they were talking to me and moving things around. And that was up until I was probably in my 20s, when I found that I went to some little psychic gallery, and I met someone that was doing some kind of psychic classes, and I said, oh, that's so cool. Like, I want to see if I can do this. And I went to these classes it was like Knowledge Beyond, it was called. And Marissa Powell, she's like a medium in the area, good medium. So I signed up for her classes and started taking them. And then within like the first couple classes, she's like, you're a medium. I was like, oh, well, what's that? You know, talk to dead people. And I was like,
it's normal.
Oh, yeah, I was like, oh, I knew I had something, you know, but wasn't sure. And then, like, that was it. Then I just said, okay, well, we started doing, like, practice things at libraries and stuff. And all of a sudden, I became, like, her number one person, the student. Everyone wanted to see me. And I was like, this is so crazy. Like, I talk to dead people. You know, I didn't put it all together. But then I learned how to shut it off. So I was able to finally sleep through the night, probably when I was 20 years old, when I learned how to tell the spirits not to come wake me up. Sometimes they still wake me up. It's usually a friend of a friend, or like if I do a gallery. I went to a gallery reading, and there was this girl, and it was at her house, actually. And then a few months later, her father, I can't remember father, I think it was her mother, I forget who, woke me up, and they were saying to call this girl Kelly and wish her a happy birthday. It's her birthday. And I was like, So I wasn't sure, and I didn't have her as a Facebook friend, so I couldn't see if it was her birthday. But I knew a friend of hers, my friend Debbie, so I called Debbie. I was like, is it Kelly's birthday? Because, you know, her mom had come, or dad, I think it was, came to wish her a happy birthday, and it was like, and I didn't really know her, but he felt comfortable because he had spoke with me at a gallery. So it's usually something like that, and they'll come. Usually someone I know will come and wake me up, because if it's a friend of a friend, they'll feel comfortable. Not many randoms come and wake me up. But if I'm going to do a gallery, there will be spirits that will start talking to me ahead of time. Like
Right.
I was doing this gallery, and this lady, Patricia, was coming into all my readings. And although when I do readings, I ask for only spirits to come in for that person, sometimes other spirits will jump in, because it's like when I open the door, someone wants to get in and give me a message, and I'll be reading someone. I'll be like, do you know so-and-so? And they're like, no. Either maybe they don't remember, or I call them spirit jumpers. They're trying to get in, but if they don't resonate, I kind of push it away. But
Right.
sometimes this lady, Patricia, was coming 3 days before I was doing the reading, and then I did the gallery reading, and I said, does anyone here have a Patricia? And this girl, Debbie, was like, oh, that's my mother. She just starts crying. That's her name. And I was like, she's been trying to talk to me for 3 days. She's like, I've been telling her, because I tell them all before I do galleries, make sure you invite whoever you want to talk to. And she said she had been invited.
To that person, you mean?
Yeah. So I call it like a party. I say, make sure you invite whoever you want to come. So she said she had been telling her, please come. So her mother was getting so excited she was going to talk to me that she started coming to me a few days before that. And this is a strange story, how I even wound up doing a gallery for this girl, was Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, was doing a show in Philadelphia. And my aunt wanted to go. So I said, I'll go, and my aunt had a wheelchair, so we had to sit like way at the top, but I went with her. She wanted to go. So I went, and here we are at the very top, and she's talking about someone's mother that had got killed or whatever, and there was a baby that was left. Well, I was like, maybe that's me, my mom. So I said, I raised my hand, and she didn't even see me. I was up the top, and then people were like, oh, up at the top, up at the top. Turns out this girl, Debbie, was in the audience, which I didn't know. But as I'm there, the spirits start talking to me, too, obviously. And I keep hearing this lady talking to me, and she's telling me a whole bunch of things. It turns out this girl, Debbie, that was in the audience, texts me. I hadn't seen her since high school. And she's like, oh, my God, you were the one they were talking to. And I was like, oh, my God, did your mother die? She's like, yeah. And I was like, she's talking to me this whole gallery. So, it was like that's how all this turned out, and how I started talking to her. And then she's like, well, I want to do a gallery. And I said, okay. And then her mom was just like, some spirits are really insistent, and they just come and they want to talk to me. And I have a lot of animals, like my girlfriend's dog.
That's the next subject. Yes, I can't wait to get to that one.
Well, the first how I started, I started on, there was a show called Rescue Inc. up here in New York, and they're biker guys, and they used to drive around and like save animals from bad situations, mainly pit bulls. But they had a shelter here in Long Island, and they had a show. So this is the same time that I was starting to take these classes, like 10 years ago. I was like 20-something, and I was in college still. So I thought, well, I'm in college, I should do some volunteer work for the animal shelters, because I'm in school for physical therapy. It looks good to have the volunteer work, right? So I'm like, I'll volunteer at animal shelter, because that'll look good in my resume. So I call Rescue Inc.
Little did you know where it would lead.
No idea. So I said, I want to come and do some volunteer work for the animals. And they said, one thing led to another, and we started talking. And I said, I'm really good at talking to animals. I said, because I had saved so many stray cats, and I said, I've been saving cats, and one thing led to another. And he said, well, you want to be on the TV show? And I was like, well, I don't know. And he's like, well, come to the clubhouse. This was in Long Island. And here I am. I'm like 20-something, and I go to the clubhouse, and it's full of like real bikers. These are like real bikers. Some of them were so real they couldn't be on the television show because they had like things they were hiding from. So I go into the clubhouse, all the biker guys, and they want me to read them, to see if I'm good enough to be on the show. So I have to read their animals. So the first biker guy that I get, I'm like, oh, my God, they're all drinking like Jack Daniels. So at the time I start doing shots of Jack Daniels, forget, I'm partying with all these bikers doing shots of Jack Daniels. Oh, I'm drinking. And I'm reading the animals. And I'm like telling this one biker guy, I was like, yeah, your dog's a little different. I was like, he kind of like opens the refrigerator. He's like, and this biker guy screams, this bitch is real. She's real. She's real. And then I just went right on to the next biker guy. Well, I became like really cool friends with the biker. Like we had a great night, and they're like, okay, we want you to be the pet psychic on the show. And I was like, Really? They're like, yeah. So I remember filming. It was a reality show. And filming, like, one day, like, reality show, at least this one, like, they had me rehearse going in and out so many times. Like, I just remember thinking, this reality show stuff is a lot of work. And I was so scared to ride on motorcycles because they rode on bikes. And I remember just screaming and crying the whole time. Like, I had to ride back on this one guy, Anthony's bike, like, for the opening of the show. And I couldn't get my arms around them. He was so big. But I wound up being with those guys for about a year and a half or so. And it was such a great time in my life. We helped a lot of animals. We did a lot of stuff and did a lot of conventions. And I was the pet psychic, so it was really cool. I got to read the animals and let people know where they came from. And then Hurricane Sandy came and flooded the shore. And then
was that in the 90s?
That was in 2007, 8.
So I'm probably thinking Gloria. That was in the late 80s.
Yeah, no, this was Hurricane Sandy, probably
right.
2000. Wait, after 2011. It had to be 2000. It's like I was 20-something, about 6 years ago. It was.
All right. I'll have to look it up. There's just not many huge hurricanes in our area that resonate because, like, they say hurricane, and to us it's like, all right, let's go for a walk, you know. But there's a few big ones, and I'm trying to remember which is which.
This was just Hurricane Sandy. It just took New York. It took a lot of Staten Island out, a lot of Long Island. It put the power out for us, some of us in Manhattan here. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. And anyway, so that took the shelter out, and then we were out of trailers. And then, unfortunately, one of the founders was taking the money, and it shut everything down. Like, everything down. It was terrible, you know, terrible, terrible, terrible. But at the same time that I didn't know that, like, I thought I was just reading animals. You know, at this time, I was able to tell what animals were about. I didn't know at this time I talked to dead animals. So one night I was sleeping, and my girlfriend Donna's pit bull had passed, and we had a house down the shore. So in the summer, we lived there, and, like, I had him a lot. Like, so she'd be working because she worked a lot, so I'd have him a lot. And he was my buddy. So I was sleeping, and the dog comes to wake me up. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm fucking completely lost my mind. I'm
dead
crazy.
Dog?
The dog comes to wake me up. And I go,
but was it the dead dog or a live dog?
Yeah, no, the dead dog.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
I'm like, this is insane. Insane. So he's waking me up, and he's like, tell my mommy she's the best mommy. You know, he's going on, like, regular stuff, things that, like, I could have been insane and making up. So I like to ask spirit. I always, like, when I do, and I am connecting to someone that's passed, like, I'm not good enough with, I need to know details. So I say to him, how do I know it's you, Sandow? How do I know I'm not crazy? He goes, tell my mommy I can't figure out the puzzle. Okay. So I call Donna, and I tell her, oh, Sandow came to me, da-da-da. And I go, and he says he can't figure out the puzzle. And she starts crying. And she tells me, I need a sip of water.
Go ahead. I think I heard this story not too long ago. Well, not too long ago. It could be months ago. So.
And she says there was this little thing she had, and she used to put treats inside of it, and he had to figure out the puzzle, and he couldn't get it. And I was like, oh, my God, I talk to dead animals now. You know, wow. And since then, it just opened the floodgates. So if I'm doing readings and I'm doing a mediumship reading, usually the pets will come right through. I'm coughing so much because if you guys know me, when I channel this one spirit called Bruce. And when he comes in, he makes me cough and choke. And that means, like, he wants to talk. He's so excited about the shows. It's so crazy. And when he first come in, I thought I was, like, dying of some kind of, like, what's going on? But this is his sign before he comes to let me know he's here, that he's with me. He starts making me cough, and that's to let me know he's here.
Aw.
So,
it's kind of scary, but kind of.
I channel the council, and they're a higher energy. And
Do
my
you
guide.
want to explain what you mean by channel to people in case they're listening and they don't know what channeling is? If you can.
So, yes, I can. So people, this is a good way to explain it. Most people that are probably listening heard of like Esther Hicks, and she channels, which I just started listening to, right, before, and I didn't even really know what she does. But anyway, she channels like a higher energy that she calls Abraham, right? But she goes into this deep channel, and she'll stay in that channel for like an hour. It's different for me. I channel the council, and I asked them what I should call them, and they told me the council. And not too long after that, I had I read it, well, way after that, just recently, I read a book from this other Sylvia something. She's a medium, and she was talking about she channels the council. I almost died. I was like, what an affirmation is that? Like, because I asked, who am I channeling? And they told me it's the council. So the council, they're like the keepers of the Akashic records. They're like the CEOs up there, and I believe in heaven and God. So for me, it's, whatever someone believes in the source, but for me, it's heaven and God. So they're like the top of the chain. They're above the angels. They hold your soul's contracts. They hold the records of your life. And my guide, Christopher, who is my guide, he's almost like an interpreter. So if you go to a different country and you have a different language, like Christopher's there. He doesn't always have to jump in and interpret for me, depending on who in the council I'm talking to, because they talk in almost like reading Shakespeare, They talk a lot like that. So it took me a while to kind of interpret that. But with him, he's standing with me all the time. He's with me. So if I get stuck, he helps me. So when I channel, I go into a light channel. I don't go so far in that I have to completely come out. But there'll be times where I'll be really deep in a channel. And this could be with the council, or it could be with me talking to Bruce. I channel Archangel Gabriel and Ariel. I also channel this other spirit called Anna Maria. So depending on who I'm talking to, I could be in a light channel, but I can come back out. And then I could go into a psychic channel. I also am a psychic as well as a medium. So as a psychic, I read energy. And for me, I look at somebody and I can see, to me it looks like a lightning bolt. So I read the energy that person has all around them.
The aura?
Is it? No, it's not an aura. This
it's
is
different. Okay.
I see energy. To me, it looks like when lightning hits the ground and it shoots out. So I read the energy from that person to whatever situation I'm looking into. I read the whole energy line, depending where it's going. So I'll go from a channel, which is me being in a channel talking to, deceased people, entities, angels, whoever's on the other side. To me, it's the house of mirrors on the other side. So when I am channeling, I go to so many places. There's so many dimensions where I find spirits. They're not all found in the same dimension for me. So it's like me being in a house of mirrors. I can get one from here, one from there, one from there. Some of them are earthbound, depending, I get them from all areas. But as soon as I cross over and I say, I'm going to go to the other side, let me see what's happening, I go to the house of mirrors and I start seeing where they're at and where I'm going to pull them. I come back. So my readings will usually involve me doing that, checking in with the other side. And then I look at the energy, and then I do have a doctorate in counseling, some book knowledge here. So I combined all three for my reading. So I come out sometimes and I'm regular Dr. Gina because I interpret what the council says in a way that I can interpret it based on, my 10.5 years of school as a counselor. So I am able to do it that way. So I do a lot of spiritual counseling intuitively based on looking at your Akashic records, having that interpreted, looking at your soul's journey. If you know me, one of my things is hashtag pass your fucking test, because when I talk to the council, I'll learn. I look at, sometimes they'll show me past lives, and based on some of your past lives or some of your lives that they're living now, I look at some of the reasons why that soul / human person is here and what they chose to come, because when we come here, we have all intention on passing everything that we've come here to do. So by talking to the council, I can help people who, aren't able to know what it is they're overcoming or what test it is they need to pass,
Right.
and understand. And my episode, I have talked about manifestation on a couple of my episodes. However, this Monday's episode is going to be another manifestation. It's going to be a really big episode because it's going to be manifestation. It's the first Monday in March, and it's a big Monday for manifestation. Manifestations happen only when we pass those quizzes and those tests because were like rewards. So when I talk to the council and they help people guide them on their soul's journey, what it is they chose here, I'm able to give them that guidance. And for me, like, my journey is insane. But I have to say, 3.5, 4 years ago, I went through hell. And I have done some DMT journeys, and that was recently, probably in the last 1.5 years, I had done my first one. And that, when I did that, my first one, I was ready to pretty much like give up, die, kill myself. That's how bad 1.5 years ago was for me. Like, I was like in it. And I did this journey. This guy that I was hanging out with, he was like, oh, you should do this. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to try it. And I'm telling you, it was the first journey I did was kind of life-changing. And then I did 3 or 4 since, like, I did 3 or 4 probably in a row at one time. And it just gave me a whole different outlook. It showed me, like, who I was. That's when I came out of the psychic closet, which was only recently, probably less than 1 year, 6 months ago. I came out to say this is what I do because I never wanted anyone to know, like, I'm a doctor. I have a doctorate degree. I spent all these years in college. Like, I didn't want anyone to know. I was a weirdo. To me, I was a weirdo psychic medium, leaving it open for jokes, people to laugh at me, people to say I'm this, I'm that, whatever the hell, they could say about me. I didn't want that. I didn't, even my social media. I had my personal Facebook.
Oh, I hear you there.
I have my personal Instagram, and then recently I had started a psychic both, and I didn't combine them or let anyone know until the last 6 months. And now
I still to this day have 2 separate Facebook accounts because when I first started this, I used one account for my personal life and one account for the paranormal. So some people are still like, and I think you were one of them, like, some people don't understand that Shea and Sherry Ann are the same person. You know what I mean? So I'm just now, 4 years later, I'm just now starting to combine the two. So I 1,000% get that.
I know, it's so crazy. It is. And I remember even, I'm Catholic, not that I was so,
me too.
But I'm Catholic. So that was another in itself. And my fiance, we're no longer together, but I remember him being so mad at me because he would like throw my cards out, or you're doing the devil stuff, and try to drag me to church. He'd drive me to counseling. Like, he would just like put holy water. Like, I can't even tell you what this guy did to me. Like, literally put holy water on my head. Like, he was like, I'm like, oh my God. And now, like,
I'd be like, dude, if this doesn't sizzle, you better run because you're in trouble either way.
He's in prison now. Oh my God. But like, and but and he's still from prison would call me and preach God to me and like this and that and tell me, Gina, to do this. And like, still trying to fight it for me. Still. Dude, my God.
Dude, preach to your prison inmates. Leave me alone.
Yeah, well, he definitely found God. Like, he always was trying to drag me to, like,
yeah.
I remember one church he drugged me to one time, and even though I'm Catholic, I'm a different type of Catholic. So he was doing this Christian thing, and my sister and my sister's mom is, and my cousins, and I love it. I think it's amazing, but it's not me. But there was this one church he took me to, and they're like, raise your hand for something, to say you agree. And I didn't know what I'm doing. He completely knew what I was doing. So I raised my hand, knowing that they were going to pull me up on stage and try to save me. And I'm
Jesus.
Like, yeah, it was around September 11th, I remember, here, because we were in New York. And I was like, you know, he's older. He's like older than me, and I looked up to him and everything. Like, I thought he was teaching me something. He's bringing me to church, and I was like, I raised my hand. Next thing you know, I'm on stage having some Bible. I was like, oh, he thought it was so funny. I was like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Like, this is like crazy. I'm being saved on the stage. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I do, like, I believe in religion, and I love, like, any kind of religion. I love all of it, everything. I'm open to every single thing of it. I just don't get stuck in the rules and the boundaries of religion.
I take a little bit of everything. I grew up Roman Catholic, and it wasn't the kind of Roman Catholic that I hear that a lot when people talk about Catholics, and I'm like, dude, and I have to like go back in my memory. Was I really Catholic? Because this doesn't sound familiar to me. But we grew up, you know, really Roman Catholic, you know, strict, and there was no bringing people up on stage. But I hear it all the time, and I also hear the people saying the paranormal was evil and it was Satan's work. And I'm like, always in the back of my mind, I'm like, but I remember my grandmother and my mother, and that's not how I grew up. And I still can't quite resonate the difference between some other people's form, because there's some people, my daughter still doesn't understand. She's like, so my daughter, who is 17 and a half, she'll be 18 in a month now. She still, to this day, does not understand that Catholic and, like, I'm like, Christian, like, I'm like, Kate, Christianity is up here. Catholic is a form of it. And she's like, so you don't have to be Christian to be Catholic? And I'm like, yeah, you do. But she still, to this day, doesn't get it because that's how open I am. But I, to this day, believe I'm... Do you know what I mean? Like, she has no clue. And that's my youngest, never mind the older one.
That's good, though. You know, it's good that she doesn't have a clue.
She has an open mind, but I can't resonate the Catholic I grew up with some of the stories I hear, because people say paranormal's bad and growing up Christian, and then I'm like, but that's not how it was. And my grandmother was Roman Christian, Roman Catholic, like total, like there's no doubt, you know. But that's not how it was in our house, and I still can't, to this day, can't decide what is choice of memory, what was real, if she just kept it separate. Like, I don't know, because I can't figure it out. Does that make sense? If you guys aren't Catholic or even Christian, you don't understand, because there's all different forms, and there's bi-forms, and you can be Christian but not Catholic, and you can be Lutheran, and it's like, I'm Catholic, and I'm still confused.
I'm like, for me, girl, my mother, again, she was killed when I was a couple months old, and she had me when she wasn't married. So
my mother did too. Yeah. My mother's alive. I don't mean it that way. I mean, but my mother had me very young.
Yeah. So my mom was 20. So she wasn't allowed to be buried in the Catholic Church because she had me out of, you know, wedlock. And my grandmother turned against the Catholic Church because they wouldn't give her a Catholic burial because of that. So she didn't want me to have any Catholic religion. You know, I was baptized because my grandfather made me, but she didn't make me do anything else. She went completely against how she was raised in Catholic school, and my mother was raised in Catholic school. She said, I don't, you know, after they wouldn't bury my mother like that, she was like, didn't want me to have anything to do with it, the religion. I pretty much picked my religion myself, and I was like 3 or 4, and we were in New Hampshire, and we were sitting in my friend's lot, I remember, in her yard, and these guys pulled up in a car, and they called us over, and I never wanted to go talk to strangers, and my friend Brenda went over there, and they were like these guys from some church, and they were showing us these things to go to, like, it was a Baptist church, and I remember telling my grandmom I wanted to go. You know, I was like 3 or 4, because I was always drawn to religion for some reason, and I went when I was 3 or 4, and I used to love that church, and we used to go, and I had fun, like 3 to probably 5, you know, I had went to that church, but I always found myself drawn to religion, even when I I did my own religious stuff. When I was a teenager, I put myself through the sacraments and the baptism. I did it all when I was a teenager, and had my girlfriend stand for me because I had went through something, and was in the hospital, and I was in a bad accident, and the priest came and asked me what I was, and here I hadn't done anything, but I was like, I thought I was going to be like, never use my arm and my side of my right body. So I started going to become and do all this stuff because God had really helped me get through and out of this hospital. And that's when I had made all my own sacraments. And yes, now I completely, God is like, I go to church myself. I don't go to the religious hour-long thing, but I'll go and sit and light my own candle. And yes, I believe in God. I believe in angels. I believe in saints. I believe God He is my all power. Like some people will say the universe. To me, God is the universe. The universe is God to me. And, anyone else can change it. You can persona anything as God. But for me, it is God sits at the top for me. And that's because that's what I chose.
This is something I usually don't talk on the podcast, so it's kind of funny. Not in a bad way, but kind of funny, haha, that this comes up because a lot of people don't know it about me. But I grew up Roman Catholic, and then in my early 20s, I switched to Baptist and was rebaptized as a Baptist, and then kind of switched back to Catholic. I'm 1,000% Christian, but I kind of align more with Catholic, but not 1,000% because I believe in gay marriage. I believe in certain things that the Catholic Church doesn't necessarily, but that's where my God beliefs fall more with Catholic. I'm definitely Christian, but I'm more open. Does that make sense?
I guess because even though I can say I'm Catholic, I mean, I believe in gay marriage. Yeah. If you want to, but I can't say I believe in marriage. Like I had 4 engagement rings. I was engaged. I don't believe in marriage. For me, that I didn't like the tie of like you're being. As soon as someone gives me a boundary or tells me to death do us part, I'm pretty much like, yeah, we get along really cool, but I don't want to have this tie. Like I want to be able to walk away. To me, it becomes a chain. So I like I said, I had 4 engagement rings, and me and my fiance, we were engaged. I wouldn't set the date. Like I'm just like, we're not getting that. Like he's like, I'm like, no, man. Like I'm cool. I'll wear your ring sometimes, but I don't believe it. I just think it's to me. It's what's there.
I'll never get married again.
All the people that believe in it, and it's good. Yeah, it's good. I get it for people that do, but for me, all of a sudden, I feel like someone put a chain on my neck. Just because you're making me sign on something.
It's called it's called a noose. Just my belief. Sorry. See, this is where the craziness of my head comes in. But yeah.
Right, because you're married. And to me, it's just like, if I want to walk away, I don't want to have to go through the paperwork of it all. It's just what it is. To me, it's paperwork. Like, if I'm going to cheat on you, it doesn't matter if I get married. It's not going to stop me. Or it is going to stop me. Marriage doesn't. To me, I think people think of this as much of a security system or something. And that's why I can never really have a job.
It's either there or it's not. A piece of paper does not make it. It's either there or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Legally, it doesn't matter. Like, And
that's another thing, which is a whole nother show. I can talk about my work experience, but I don't believe in clocking this stupid clock or having a time. I hate maybe because I know what it's like. I'm close to my soul, but having a time, like I can say I'll be there around 9, like I won't be too late, but to clock me in at a clock time or tell me what I'm going to do, that's the worst thing you can do. Tell me I have to be there at a certain time. I can't have that rule.
I'm the opposite. You tell me to be there at 9, and I might bitch, like, that's early, but I'll be there 5 up just to spite you.
Yeah, but see, it's a time thing. I just don't get the whole time constraint to me. Like, I have to work, and like I said, I'll be on your show at this time, obviously, something I want to do. But I totally, like, I have a hard time with time. I have a hard time with rules and having to do something. It's just, even, like, I train martial arts, and for me, the warm-up.
Pictures, yes.
My coach was always like, you missed the warm-up. Well, I hate the warm-up because now I feel like I have to run around in a circle and do something I don't want to do, and I have to follow the direction, and I don't want to do it. I try to be nice and all, and try to, but it's
What
just
is
hard
his response? I'm just curious. What is his response when you say that?
He's funny. He'll post something about me trying to miss the warm-ups. He knows. He'll scream in the bathroom.
Because he knows you so well?
Yeah, he'll be like calling the bathroom. I sit there. And it's not even that I'm lazy. I don't want to do it because I work out all the time. It's just something about the structure of this is what I now have to do. And I'm just like, even like in my Muay Thai classes, I love it, but I'm stuck in a whole class for an hour. I want to kill myself. Like in 15 minutes, I might want to get a drink of water. I might want to talk to somebody. I can't, and it's fun. I like Muay Thai, but now you're telling me I can't leave the class for an hour, so I have to take like private with one of the guys I live because I can't be stuck here. I need to be able to escape. You can't tell me to be stuck somewhere. That's why I could never have a job. You can't tell me I'm here now. Even when I was in the school, I was bad, so I used to get detention. I crawl out the window, the principal's room. Can't go.
And how long? Do you want to remind people how long you stuck it out and what is your degree? Go ahead, tell people. You brag about it a little bit here.
Well, I mean, I have a doctorate degree, and I went to school for 10 and a half years. I got my 4-year, and then I went 3.5 for my master's, and then 2.5 for my doctorate. Yeah, but for me, college was easy. I was smart. I got put up grades in school. I was really, really smart. I never really had to study. I just looked at something.
Yeah, the studying part wasn't hard. It was the putting the time in.
Yeah, and for me, it was fun.
For me, too. I wasn't speaking for you. I was agreeing with you. For me, too. I hear you.
Yeah, it was just like, it was fun and cool. I like learning. So that was what was cool, like more knowledge. I'm still learning. I still learn all the time. Whatever it is, I'm always learning. I'm reading a book or I'm learning something new. I always want to learn. So that's why it wasn't so hard for me. Grad school was a little hard at Thomas Jefferson. But my friends, I had a great crew there. It was fun, we were all together. Was it hard
because of the amount of time that you had to put in? Like you specifically had to be there at certain times, or was it different?
What was hard for me at the time? I was working at the Go-Go bar still at night. I was living with my crazy fiance, and he was a hell of a ride himself. So I was already different than everyone else who was living in the dorms or something. I'm the 20-something-year-old that's living with the boyfriend dancing in the bar, and I already had my own. You were the weird one? But I was a different one. And then I had one professor that everyone knew that he didn't like me. He didn't like me and this other girl. So he made things a little tough. But it was hard for me because I was different, and it was just some of the professors. I had a couple professors that just loved me for being who I was and different, but I had struggles because I was different in so many ways. But I look back on it, it was one of the best times in my life. Like I had made the best friends, and we're all still friends today. And we graduated in 2006, and we're all in touch, like the group that I had, and we all keep in touch. And a lot of them support what I do, and they know what I do. And I told a lot of them when they were going to meet their guy, and they did. And, we're still a close group of friends. We all have different jobs, and we're all not so close in vicinity, but we try to get together at least once or twice a year in the summer once and have our reunions and Christmas. And it was just like I made the best friendships in that school. My doctorate degree was a little different. I went to my doctorate degree with some of the people I went to grad school with, and some of the ones I didn't know, but it was kind of, I had made some friends, but nothing like, 3.5 years in a full-time program was every day with the same people.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm glad I did it because it gave me a lot of learning to be where I am now. I went to school for physical therapy and occupational therapy and psychology and nutrition. Like I have a lot of degrees. So I have used them all together with what I use. And it works out because I have a lot of book knowledge, even though I channel and I'm the medium. I do have experience. I've worked in, prisons. I've worked in psychiatric wards. I worked in group homes. I worked in children's hospitals. I worked at the University of Pennsylvania. I've worked in NYU. I worked in McGee Rehab. I worked in a lot of physical places and mental places. I worked in Norristown State Hospital, Kings County Prison. There's so many places that I've worked and seen and had experience for physically that helps me with the work that I do now. So it's
I
kind
think
of a
that type of
combination.
stuff helps us as a person too, if you're lucky enough to experience it in the right way. Not everybody can handle it, but it makes you more rounded. That's my personal belief. That's not Gina's belief. That's just me putting
No,
out
that's
there
fine.
that.
Yeah, I've had some crazy work experiences. That's for sure, man. Crazy stuff. I've worked in Alzheimer's units. Acute care, long-term care.
Yeah.
Working in children's hospital I worked there for a couple of years. I had a lot of experiences. I worked in the school systems in New York City. I worked in the Philadelphia school systems. I've done a lot of things. And when I tell you I've done a lot of things, it's because I didn't always do them full time. I wasn't that nice. I did I would do 1 or 2 days a week or something. I had a hard time with being in one, and I still do, being in one place at the same time. So I do 2 days at this hospital, 2 days. I did a lot of PRNs, which is on-call stuff.
Yep.
It was hard for me to be in that one place. And even when I worked in the school system, I went to different schools. And when it became a little strict, that's when it's the story in itself, when my spiritual awakening 3.5 years ago, when I got in a lot of trouble for some stupid stuff and things I didn't do. But anyway, it pushed me into the spiral of learning so that I think God had to take me through everything there was so that I could have empathy and understand. My fiance went to jail. Oh, mine too. Yeah, I lost my house. Oh, mine was flooded too. I lost my career. Oh, me too. I had to go to jail and court. Oh, me too. I lost my medical license, got my medical license back, but I did lose it at one time. Got it back. I think they had to put me through everything to say, okay, yep, did that. Been there.
Been there, done that, just to learn the empathy. Because until you've been through certain things, you can't understand it as much as you can say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for you. You don't understand until you've been there. No. And I've always had, growing up, yes, we lived in, the hood for sure, but my family had money. It might not have been the best way, but I always was spoiled. So I was the one where they weren't allowed that. Your family's criminals. We're not allowed to hang out with you or whatever, but I was spoiled. I had the new Camaro when I was 15, 16. I had everything I wanted. And then when I went to college, even I worked as a dancer. I was making thousands of dollars a night. I had everything I wanted. So I never knew what it was like to not have. I always could. I never looked at price tags. It wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago when I fucking lost my medical license and things just fell apart. And I was I had to look at money, and that never was my life ever. But I think they had to put me through that perspective.
Yeah, I have a whole different perspective now. But it was I never understood that concept of having to worry about how much something costs or not having it. It made no sense. That's not how I grew up, and that's not how I was. But now I can say that I have a perspective of it. They had to put me through it for sure to see what it was like. And, it's different now, and things have changed, and that's, again, another story of energy and bringing things around and how you can really manifest your whole life, for sure. And
I'm
if you
giggling.
guys
if anybody's hearing me giggle, it's not out of judgment. It's just because, our stories are different, but I can relate because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of stupid stuff. I got pregnant as a sophomore in high school. I've done a lot of things, but as long as I can look back, I don't regret anything. I don't regret anything I've done as long as I've learned something. It made me stronger. It prepared me for the next thing. So I don't regret it.
Yeah.
So if you hear me, if the listeners, I know you know, Gina, but if they hear me giggling, it's not out of judgment. It's just because I can relate in a different way, but in the same way at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, even like I said, I do have a friend. She was pregnant. I think it was 10th grade. And I, like, even for me, like, obviously didn't get pregnant. I mean, I did, but I didn't have any children. Because it takes a lot, man. That's hard.
Yeah.
You need, especially not to have the right situation. Like, to me, I need to have the right situation. Like, I need to be with someone that's there. So you learn fast and you grow up fast. I'm sure that happened in 10th grade.
Oh,
you have to. You have to.
I'm 42. I'm 42 years old, and my youngest is about to turn 18. What's that tell you?
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 kids, so, I do not regret a single one of them, and they are awesome children, and I did something right. They did something right because they're great kids. So as long as you learn something from what we call mistakes in this life,
mm-hmm.
Mistakes, we're so easy to say that person's a fuck up. There's my first F-bomb. See, I'm not sick, guys. I said it.
It's funny because mistakes I call them lessons, yes.
Yeah. Mistakes, lessons, fuck-ups, whatever you want to call them. If you learn one tiny thing from each one you mistake, each one of these things we call mistakes, then we're that much of a better person each time.
Yes, we start passing our quizzes and our tests, and we elevate our soul, and that's why we're here. We're here to elevate our soul.
Yeah.
That's why we're on this journey. So it depends on where we're elevating and where we came from, what level we came in at, where we want to go out at. But to me, life is a journey. Like, I don't get caught up in anything anymore. Like, I don't care. I used to have to go out every single weekend. I always had a boyfriend, always couldn't be alone. It wasn't until recently that I am alone. I never understood the concept. How could I possibly sit alone on a weekend? Like, how could I not have, I've had a boyfriend since 6th grade, or someone I was with, like, always in a relationship. How could I not? I lived with 4 guys, I've been engaged in rings. But it wasn't until recently, and I remember how uncomfortable it was when my fiance had went to prison, which was almost 4 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, like, I am not with anyone, but I was kind of hanging out with someone, and it wasn't until recently, and I just didn't know how to be alone. Like, Friday and Saturday night, I'm like, I need to go out. Again, it wasn't until like a year and a half ago where I can sit, here I am, I'm home on a Friday night. Like, if you told me this 2 years ago, I'd be like, that is not me. I'm not home on a Friday night.
Isn't it the most freeing feeling, though, when you know yourself enough and you finally can be alone with you?
It is, and I can't say I'm 100% there yet because I'm still on the journey, for sure.
Right.
I'm not where I need to be at all, but I'm further than I was last year. I've made a lot of progress. I know that.
And the progress is what matters.
Yeah. I am not in a relationship now, and it's so crazy because my friends are like, that's so, like, you're not. I know, like, it's so weird. I'm not. And no one can even believe. My friends will be like, that is not true. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm hanging out. They're like, really? Like, yeah, and I never understood the concept. I'd go from one relationship to another, and they say, you need to take some time to be alone. I don't get that alone stuff. But now, guess what? I get it. I do. I get it. I get why. Because you can't really be with someone else unless you really know yourself. And I never really got to know myself because I was always with the other guy. And whoever I was with, I'm always with the alpha type guy. So it was usually like me being with them, trying to, like, they had a lot going on.
Who they needed, or who they expected or wanted you to be, or who you thought would fit.
Right. I would take their lead a lot, being older than me or more experienced in different areas. And I just, like, take their lead. And it wasn't, again, until maybe the last year and a half or so. And I was just like, you know what? I'm taking my lead. And it's just different. I can't say where my life is going to go, but I'll tell you, it's definitely going to go somewhere different. And it has been. In the next 3 or 4 months, and even if you guys follow me, March is going to be insane for, like, me and my clients and whoever's, like, working with me. By April, all of us, and I say all this, and whoever's listening, by April is going to be like night and day. Like, I'm going to look back on March and be like, what the hell was that? And I can guarantee that's going to happen for sure.
I say that every month.
That's good.
Even sometimes I do it daily. Like, tomorrow, I am going to be a better person than I was today.
Just see, that's
Tomorrow,
great.
I'm going to be a more forgiving person than I am today.
See, you already got the concept. You're already ahead of me, ahead of some people.
Yeah, well, I got the concept. It doesn't mean I do it. I'm trying. I get the concept, but putting it in action isn't always the same thing.
No, definitely, it's work. It's so much work, and I can't, like, my life has changed dramatically in this year and a half, and the year and a half before that, it was insane, and then the year before that, I was creating all of it. I created it for a year. I lived it for a year, and now I'm coming out of it. So that was about 3, and I'm going into 4 years, and that's the process of this, what do you want to call it, dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, whatever it was. It's insane, and I talk about it in little increments in my show, and I tell my clients I'm working.
This is the most I've heard you talk about it. I listen to a lot of your replays. I can't catch them every Monday.
No.
But I listen to a lot of replays, and this is the most you've ever talked in depth that I've heard.
Like, I think because you're talking to real Gina, and when I do my show, there's a lot of channeling, so.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Yeah.
This is like, even my friends will call me and like, can I ask you a question? Like, you're going to talk to real Gina, or because I'm not into being like channeling Gina. Like, let's talk shit, and I'm going to fuck shit up because that's how I do it, you know. But so it's different. My friends will even know the difference when they talk to me. I'm just like, Gina is so much different than Dr. channeling Gina, whatever I am. When I do the other stuff, I don't even know sometimes.
People say that, you know, about me on air. They're like, you're different on air than you are in real life. Sometimes, you know, it's kind of like a safety net for me. I'm not a channel. I'm not a psychic. But for me, I'm more open. I'm more abrupt on air than I am. You know, I say things that are in my head on air. People don't understand. I'm a homebody. I stay at home all the time. I'm not, you know, just who I am.
Well, you probably have a nice home. Like, I live in New York City, and I am not a homebody. It's funny. Like I said, I am so the furthest from the homebody ever. Like, I sleep there if I'm lucky. Sometimes I don't sleep there. Like, I have different places, and I'll wake up. I remember because I have a bunch of different. I have a house in Jersey and Philly, and I was seeing this guy for a while, you know, at his house, and I just remember just like waking up, just being like, where am I waking up? Am I in my house in Jersey or my house in Philly? But I'm not a homebody. I never will be a homebody. I don't have, like, home for me. Like, I like to hang out with my guy at his house or chill with him, but it has to be, like, at his house. I'm not even home. Like, I like to go to his house. I'm not big on, like, I'm not the homebody. But, hey, when I get my mansion in L.A., I could change. I could become homebody. When I get that place,
be homebodies at Gina's house.
Yeah, so when I get that place on the beach in L.A., I could be a homebody if I can walk out onto the beach and walk on my patio. It depends on what my home consists of now. My home consists of a New York City apartment, and being a homebody here just ain't cutting it.
Well, see, in a year, come back, Gina, and ask me, because my youngest is going off to college in September here. So come October, I might be saying, fuck that, I'm not a homebody anymore.
Yeah, see? You're nesting. You're still in the nesting thing. I can't say that I do have my cats. These are my team here, my boys, and I love my boys. Everyone knows I am a huge animal lover. I love every animal. I love them all. But my boys, like, I'll miss them if I'm away from them. I do like to hang with them.
You're huge into animal rescue and animal.
I am, and when I get a little further in what I can do, I would love to give back more. Like,
This is actually what Gina and I bonded over, I have to tell you. The first thing had nothing to do with paranormal. It was the animal stuff.
That I want to do everything for the animals, and I would love more than anything to do like shows and galleries and donate all of my money to these animal rescues that people, especially some of them that I see here in New York, like this one is like Little Wanderers. They save all these poor cats because New York is tough, these cats on the streets. And
Yeah.
I would just do that and just give them what I can, because I don't understand how anyone can walk by or see a cat in their alley or their house and like be mean to it. To me, when I lived in Jersey, I saved every cat. I took them all to the vet, found homes for them. All my friends had 2 or 3. My whole family had 1 or 2. You know, I could not, since I was 3, I was saving cats in New Hampshire. Like, I can't imagine just letting an animal be hungry. Or if I see an animal, a dog, and they're not treating it good, like I go in yards. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't get it. Like, the animals, they need help. I don't get that at all.
I don't either. You know, and I obviously I'm a single mom, so I took care of my kids first. But my dog, who is my baby, is a rescue from the state. She was taken away by the state, and I adopted her. And she's the ugliest thing in the world, but she is the most loving thing in the world. Nobody else wanted her. She's looking at me like, you're talking about me. Like, literally, she's just like, her head just like, boom, looked at me. But
that's it. They're your family.
Yeah, they're awesome. And I lost 5 animals in the house fire. So the 2 animals I have now are
yeah. I just
part
like
of the family.
They are, and all my boys are 12. I found them all as kids when I was in New Jersey, except for Germany. I found in Germantown Avenue in Philly. The rest came from my Jersey house, and you know they're getting to be older now. They're 12, and they're pretty good, thank God. You know, except for Hudson, he's not doing so well, but. You know, they're getting to that older age, and I worry.
Yeah, me
you
too.
know, but
my cat is 16 or 17. We had him before the fire. Wow. This cat and dog actually lived through the fire. The rest of the animals died. But he's 16 or 17. He's getting up there. We have a question, Gina. You know my co-host on the Sunday show, Psychic Jen B. She has a question for you. Oops, my chat closed. Here it is. This is what she says. I recently met the energy that I channeled for and have been blocking out for a while. Does she have any pointers on being able to release control to channel properly? Because I don't like letting go of my control.
Wait, what was the first thing? I didn't hear the first part of the question. She said she wants to know how to channel, or she doesn't. Can you read that again?
Yeah, I'll repeat it. I recently met the energy that I channel for. I'm not sure I don't understand what this means myself. That's why I'm having trouble reading it, because I'm not a psychic. All right. I recently met the energy that I channel for and have been blocking it out for a while. Does she have any pointers on being able to release control to channel properly? Because I don't like letting go of my control.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what I had said at the beginning is, I remember when I first had the first spirit, like, actually come inside of me to talk, and it was like I almost fell over at the table. I was sitting at the table. It was in Jersey, and the spirit pushed I felt like I was going to cave in. I couldn't breathe, and the spirit was inside of me. And it was the first thing, because I didn't really understand how to protect myself at that time. And all of a sudden, like, because some spirits get over anxious, like, and they do try to push in. They try to push in, like, and this was just a dead person, you know. It was an ex-husband, and he wasn't so happy. He was getting mad about things, and he needed to talk. And he pushed in, and I just almost fell back on the chair with the energy, pushed me so hard. I just went, like this. And I was just like, after I let him talk for a little while, and I pushed back so hard, and I was like, I was never going to read again after that. I was like, I am never reading again. But then I learned how to, you know, work that. And I still do let spirit come in, different deceased relatives or ancestors I do let come in. But before I start, I ask only spirits that walk in the light of God, because I've had 3 that I can remember, spirits that weren't so good, come through and to me. And it wasn't so easy to get rid of one of them. Very difficult. So now I just make sure that I pray to God all the time. You know, I'm very close to God. I usually have my rosary beads with me when I do channel, and I'm very protective of who I let in. And it's just being, for me, it's just speaking with the spirit world, having the protection and knowing the trust. But I always open my channel and close my channel, and I'm always protected. And this way I have more trust in it. That's how I do it. And it wasn't easy. I had to learn the hard way, definitely. So I hope that answered her question.
Yeah, she said, that's what this is her words, that's what I do, is push back the channel and let the dead in. I hope I read that right.
Yeah, it depends. Like, even when I open the channel, sometimes I'll feel like, oh, they're pushing on me so much, they're pushing. And sometimes, like I said, if I know the spirit, a lot of times I'll be like, oh, yeah, come on in, whoever they are, because I'll have a lot of them that I know, because I read to certain people all the time. I'll be like, yeah, your grandma wants to talk. You know, she went in. I'll let her come inside and talk to me. I trust her. She's going to come in. She's going to talk. She's going to leave. But if I get a spirit, you know, a relative that wants to come in so bad, they just start coming and they start pushing me, but they don't ask me. And, you know, I don't just say, come in. Then I push back, and I was like, no. I just let them know. And it's just letting them know. Just like when they used to wake me up at night until I said to them, no, don't wake me up. And sometimes they do, and I wake up and I'm like, listen, I need to sleep. I'm sleeping. You just talk to them like they're regular people, because they are. You know, they're spirit, they're energy. They're just like you and me. They just don't have a body. And there's going to be rude ones that want to come in, and there's going to be not so nice ones, and there's some evil ones. It's just like people. Just think of spirit is just like people, but they're...
Some are assholes, some are...
Yeah, so some of them, like, I have to say all the time, listen, guys, if you want to talk to me, please, this is Karen's reading, whatever, not now. You know, and they'll still try to come in sometimes, and now it's so much for me. Like, even when I don't do ghost investigations, I have been on a couple, but I really want to start doing that now, especially where I am in my abilities. Bruce is like, yeah, we want to do it. But for me, like, when I do different things, and I have been where there's negative energies, like, they won't so much come to me because they know that I have control and power. They'll go to somebody who is a little weaker than me. They won't come near me or touch me because they know they're not getting nowhere. But again, it took me a while to get there. Like, they might try to mess with me or taunt me or say something, and then we'll have a back and forth, but they're not going to stay with me too long. And it took me a while to get to that point, for sure. So I hope that helps her.
I hope so. My internet is, well, actually, it's my power blinking yet again. I still only see the one message, so we'll see. But so I so appreciate you being on with me tonight. We're actually hitting an hour and a half here.
Okay, that's like my show. Charlotte, my producer, I love her. She'll always my show scheduled for hours. Yeah, and all of a sudden my show always goes. She'll always schedule me for 90 minutes because either I talk a lot, because I do, or I get a lot of callers. So and then even when I do a gallery reading, I know when I start channeling, I'm like, I got an hour, guys, so I channel for an hour. All my galleries are an hour, and then for half an hour I'll do like a psychic question and answer. Usually an hour and a half my events are, because I don't have much more than that. And even readings, like my readings are $250 an hour, and people are like, oh, you're so expensive. But, how many can I do a day? Like, I can't channel that many. And all the work it takes me and everything it takes to get in there, like, that's what it is, because it's just a lot of work. Of course I give a lot of my clients discounts if they come back, and stuff like that. But it's a lot of work. I can't just do this. Like, when I'm channeling, I can't do 2 or 3 hours a day. Like, there's no possible way you can do it. At least for me, it's intense. So, but yes, I very much had a great time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Here, Jen added a few things. She said, I don't think I'm explaining myself right. It's completely different than speaking to a spirit. Then she goes on to say, it's a strong energy that speaks through her. And
Yeah, like the council. Like I channel.
Yeah, wants her to stand aside. I know I can trust my energy. I just have a hard time actually trusting it. So is she meaning like somebody wants to use her body instead of sending the info to her?
I think what she's saying is like, there's this, Esther Hicks does this thing. She channels the whole time. She lets this energy, who she calls Abraham, and again, it's a higher energy. And she lets that energy talk through her, and she goes into the channel, and she will let this Abraham talk the whole time. She's gone. She's not there.
And sometimes they sound like the person, right? That's what you mean?
Yes.
Type of...
Yes. I will change my voice, I hear, and my mannerism. But I channel the council, and I have Christopher, who's my guide, help me. I don't go deep enough. I do for maybe periods of 3 or 4 minutes, but I don't go into that deep, exhausting channel for me. Like, I let them in. It's almost like I let them half in. So if you think of it, they come half in. I have complete trust in them, and they trust me, and we talk all the time. And they come, they go, they come, they go, and I channel different spirits at the same time. But I don't go into, I'm not in the channel the whole hour, because that's not how my work is. Because, again, I use not just my channel for my spirit work, but I use energy work. I look at energy, and I also use my degree in counseling. So my work is a combination. It's not a direct channel, but I do direct channel, and I do that for maybe periods of, I could direct channel from the council, which could be even on my shows, like 20, 30 minutes at a time. But for me, I just say, okay, come in, and I can come out of it any single time I want. That's it. I just turn.
You have control over it.
Yeah. But again, it didn't happen overnight, I've been doing this, having this ability. I was born a medium. So, here, 30-something years later, it took me a while, it just don't happen overnight. So it's just practice and just trust, coming in and letting go. That's it. So hopefully.
I think so. I think if I understand it, I think she will. I think she understands what you're saying. I think I was just reading it wrong. I'm not sure.
No, I know what she's saying. She has a hard time letting the energy in.
All right.
But I guess it's like a trust in energy. You got to know who you're talking to. I know. I clearly know. But it took me a while to get to know them. I didn't let them in for a long time. Like, we got to know each other little by little, little by little. Now, like, they just ran my whole show.
She got it. That's what she said. Yep, you got it, Gina.
Because the last show I did on my Akashic Records, and I put them on my YouTube, I channeled mostly that whole show. Like, that wasn't even me. They said they want to talk. I just let them talk. Like, okay, do it. Like, sometimes I learn so much. Sometimes they have so much to say that I'm just like, great. And I'll listen to I remember having trouble in a relationship, like recently, not too long ago. And Charlotte was like, you know what, Gina, listen to your episode on relationships. You'll learn. You can help yourself with what you're going through. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it. I learned from the council, like, Gina's over here fucking up, failing my test because I'm just me. But then when I listen to what the council said, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I have to pass my fucking test because, like, I'm failing shit. But I don't know that, but the council can help me. I'm just regular me fucking shit up. And I have, my guide is Christopher, but he helps me channel. I have my main guide is Hector, and he's my guide. And I talk about him in different things, but I don't always listen to what he says, or I get confused too, just like everyone else does. I'm still human,
Yeah, we all are. Jen said thank you.
She's welcome. Well, thank you again. I had a great time.
Thank you very much. Gina will be back in 2 weeks, and we are distinctly picked a topic, soul contracts. She will be back on March 15th, and we're going to dedicate the whole hour, or hour and a half as sometimes it goes, to soul contracts, because I'm not saying I agree with soul contracts or disagree, but I find it fascinating, and I want to eat up all the information I can. I want to learn about it. So I appreciate Gina putting up with me twice in 1 month.
Of course. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So there's no show tomorrow night, but Sunday, I and Psychic Gen B will be back for the Skeptic and the Psychic for part 2 of Haunting Terminology, which was awesome last Sunday. So I can't wait. And Jen also says that you've given her confirmation that she's doing things right. That she's doing things the right way, and she's just taking her time. So she's very appreciative.
Thank you. Thanks for asking a question.
Yes. I'm going to do quick shout-outs here because I'm used to having a co-host now. I got spoiled. I didn't even say in the beginning of the show because we got right into things. Kelly's at her expo, as most people know, so she's not with us tonight. But I want to say some special thanks. And there's a lot more likes here than there are people in chat. So whether you're listening now, you're listening later, commenting in chat, not commenting in chat, we appreciate it. But a special shout out to Miss Jen B. And it only lets me scroll so far. So we have Matt. We have my sister and partner in crime, Nicole. Miss Kelly McCarville did join us for a little bit. Mallory. We have Wolf. We have Aaron, KPRS. Sue Smith from Short Bus dropped in for a little bit. Kim Purvis dropped in for a little bit. And that's as far as it'll let me scroll. I think we had a couple other people, but it won't let me scroll further back. But thank you, everybody that listened now or later. And I will be back Sunday, and Miss Gina will definitely be back in 2 weeks. So, Gina, hold on 1 second. I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. Paranormal Buzz Radio is live on Spreaker with interactive chat rooms. For all things Paranormal Buzz Radio related, check out our website at paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Here's our spring 2019 show lineup. Sundays, The Skeptic and the Psychic, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. And rotating every other Monday, B Squared Magic Monday in Origin, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific. Thursdays, REP Paranormal and Friends, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Friday, Shea's Paranormal Chat, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Saturdays, Into the Abyss with Peggy Gypsy, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific.